In the next segment, we're going to be speaking with Frank Gaffney, the founder of the Center for Security Policy, about the Middle East peace plan that President Trump has unveiled. I want to spend the first 5 hitting 3 or 4 top-level points to understand, to get a picture of Israel and a picture of what the dispute is all about. So I want to start with the idea, and this is something that is so helpful to remind yourself and tell your friends, and look at the links I put up at americacanwetalk.org to understand a few realities. Number 1, there is no such thing as the Palestinian people. That is a myth. That is actually a manipulatively used term to cause sympathy for people caught up in the struggle within Israel. But I want to tell you why I say that. There are people living in Israel living in the Gaza Strip area, living in what the Israelis refer to as Judea and Samaria, what the Palestinians call the West Bank. People living there, but they're not people of a common heritage called Palestinian in the same way as Italians or Greeks or Norwegians. There's not any of that connection, historical ethnic connection. And I want to just tell you a little bit of detail why I say that and why it matters so much. Often when we look at the ongoing battles between Gaza, sending rockets over to Israel, there's a perception that these are just a people trying to reclaim their land. Let me read to you a statement. This is from the Hamas Minister of the Interior and of National Security, Fathi Hamad, speaking on Al Hekma TV in March of 2012. This is the Hamas leader. By the Hamas, by the way, controls Gaza. Hamas leader, brothers, half of the Palestinians are Egyptians. The other half are Saudis. Who are the Palestinians? We have many families called Al-Masri, whose roots are Egyptian. They may be from Alexandria, from Cairo, from the north, from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. We are Egyptians. There's a reason why the Palestinian National Museum is empty of historical artifacts, making the point that the term Palestinian does not refer to an ethnic group as you would if you're referring to people who are, as I say, pick your nationality. The Palestinian is a conjecture, a created term. And the reason it matters is because the term is used to manipulate thought about whether or not these people have a right to this land. But it's not a people. That's number 1. No such thing as a Palestinian people. Next, there was a statement by an Arab historian, Abad al-Ghani, admitted on official Palestinian Authority television, November 1st, 2019, makes a long statement basically saying the same thing. The people being called the Palestinians are not a people. More importantly, in fact, to really get to this point of why this matters and understanding the conflict in Israel, the term Palestine was not created to be the land of the Palestinian people like Italians have the land of Italy. The term Palestinian was actually created millennia ago, very quickly. Roman conquerors destroyed, now let me back up from even that, the Bible times. So Jesus, we start the calendar over. But 2,000 years before Jesus, the Jewish people were in this area of the world we now call the State of Israel. We have the Jewish history and the stories of the Bible dating back till then, 2,000 years before Christ. Then we have in the year 70, the year 70 after Jesus was on earth, you have the Roman conquerors destroyed the Holy Temple in the year 70. Romans drove the remaining Jews out of Israel in the year 135 to extinguish the Jewish bond from the land for all forthcoming eternity, to prevent yet another Jewish return to Israel from exile, as had happened only 70 years earlier after the Babylonian expulsion in 586 BC. The Romans changed the very name of the land to identify it with the pagan biblical peoples. They changed it to the word Philistines. Understand, this word Palestine has been used to manipulate sympathy and generate a false perception that the Palestinians in the middle of this conflict with Israel today have been in this land for a long time and have an ethnic commonality. They don't. There's also Hamas that controls the Gaza Strip. Basically, this is my other big point I want to make. 2 other points, and we'll get to our wonderful friend Frank Gaffney. One is, when you hear about violence in the UK, in Western Europe. You hear about jihad. We've talked about it in our show many times. Jihad is violence committed in the name of Islam to spread Islam by force. It is compelled or required by the Quran, by the teachings of Islam. Devout Muslims are supposed to spread Islam via jihad. So you hear the term jihad. When we hear about violence in Israel, we think, oh, this is the Palestinian-Jewish conflict over land. But on the Gaza Strip, which is on the west side of Israel, you'll see in a moment on the maps, Gaza Strip, 99% of the people living in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians so-called, are Muslim, 99%. In the other concentrated area of Arabs in Israel who are not part of the Jewish state, in the West Bank or Judea, Samaria, 85% are Muslim. You need to think of the rockets being launched from the Gaza and the attacks committed on Jews from Gaza and from the West Bank. Think of it as jihad. It is action taken in the furtherance of the goals of Islam. And Hamas has not denounced these goals. It runs Gaza Strip. Neither have the Palestinian or the PLO, which plays around with words, but they have it. Now to the maps. Matt the Wonderful has some maps, and I want to show you why this matters in this conversation. Matt, if you can bring up the first map, which is the Middle East. I called it Clip 1, the Middle East. And I don't know how well you can see that picture. If you're just staring at that picture on your screen and you see in the very center of it, there's that large body of land, that's Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, and then you look up kind of toward the top left, you can see the Mediterranean Sea, you can see Israel, a tiny little dot. Israel, slightly larger than the state of New Jersey. Israel surrounded by Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, all Muslim countries. Israel, the state of Israel, is surrounded by Muslim majority countries who, to varying degrees, are committed to the teachings of Islam, which include the determination to extinguish the Jewish people, to kill people because they are Jewish. Not all those states carry out jihad every day, but they're a Muslim majority, and that is the land, that is the geography surrounding Israel. And second map, honing in on just Israel. This is Clip 2, just to see Israel. Now this map, they made these colors a little bit too close, but you can see at the top left of the map, you have the Mediterranean Sea, and then you see the kind of orangish country, that is Israel. That's Israel. And if you see within, so that to the right of that, to the right of Israel, more brown, you can see Jordan. But the Israel part, you see the gray area. That is a large gray area that is near has that, you see the blue, the Dead Sea in there, but you see the large area of Israel that is in gray in this map is what the Palestinians call the West Bank. They're referring to the West Bank of Jordan, but what Israelis refer to as Judea and Samaria. And then you see, still in that orange state of Israel in this map, if you look toward the bottom left of the country of Israel, that tiny little gray strip, that is Gaza. So in this entire country that's orange in the map, the gray parts are already controlled by the Palestinians in varying degrees. That is the country of Israel. That's the battle we have, again, surrounded by Muslim majority countries and having those very large areas in their own borders controlled by the Palestinians. Last map, and this is what President Trump wants to bring. It's in the proposal he has. And this is, again, the country of Israel. President Trump's tweet, this is what a future state of Palestine can look like with a capital in parts of East Jerusalem. So on this map, Israel's obviously the brown color, and then you have that grayish blue. So again, the grayish blue, the larger area is what is called the West Bank or Judea and Samaria. And then you can see at that bottom left, you can see the Gaza Strip. But I don't know if you can tell on this map, if Matt can enlarge it, but between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, there is now a line, a connection, and this map is showing what President Trump is suggesting might be a West Bank to Gaza tunnel. That is in the proposal by President Trump, is maybe connecting these two Palestinian areas to become a Palestinian state connected by a tunnel. Now, folks, I went longer than First Five. I'm sorry. I wanted to lay that as the groundwork. So, my friends, I'm wrapping up today's First Five.